Yvette Day, 32 Meadowview Drive, Lopatcong. I'd like to concur with Mr. Juan and say that I eventually think that this application will go through in Lopatcong. I just would like, though, to state that I'm not in favor of the asphalt plant in Lopatcong. Having heard all the testimony, and I will not belabor what everyone else has said, I just would like to state that fact. With that being said, should the board vote to approve this application, I request that such an approval be granted with a condition. Specifically, I believe such approval should be conditioned that the applicant agree to financially contribute to enhance Lopatcong parks, recreational fields, its school, and its programs. This request would not put a burden on the company, as I believe that they would welcome an opportunity to enhance the quality of life in the very town in which they operate. A possible requirement would be for inter-county paving to establish a foundation fund. These funds would be made available to 501c3 nonprofits like our PTO, our PTAs, our LEAs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, etc. These funds can then be used to enhance the community and its residents. I would request that the foundation board be made up of Lopatcong residents that do not sit on any current board or hold any political positions in state or local government. I would request that 2% of each contract that inter-county paving gets be put into the fund so it can be sustained for years to come. I do apologize if this request appears to be demanding, but I have put great thought into this and request as a concerned resident with young children in a community that notably lacks any significant infrastructure. Notably, similar communities in the surrounding areas, namely Palmer, Forbes, and Nazareth, just to name a few, have placed similar conditions on businesses and developers who reap the benefits of doing businesses within the communities that they have chosen to stay. This is my home, where minimum is not good enough. I have promised my children, their friends, my peers, that I would lasso the moon for them, and I'm asking you not to hold my rope. Thank you.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name and address, please.
Anna Havens, 814 Rugby in Lopatcong. First of all, I'd just like to state that unfortunately I feel that nothing this applicant does could possibly remedy what they will be doing. As a resident of this lovely town, where I too have worked very hard to purchase a home for my family, my growing family, I have to start off by sharing with you my profound disappointment in the entire process that I've witnessed during these hearings for this application. There appears to have been a long-standing, coordinated effort between interested parties that predated the filing of this application to ensure that this asphalt plant would be built on this site at all costs. This board has witnessed the awakening of this community with regards to the proceedings of our local government. We're now fully aware of all the details and relationships that have marred this troubled application. How much destruction will be caused to the sense of community here in Lopatcong as the citizens continue to fight against this plant and to reveal the activities behind it? I've seen a partition between the citizens of this town, with those who are for it and those who are against it. It goes against the very essence of community. This small town has been such a fruitful place for myself and my family. It's been devastating to see the divide that's been created. I'm asking the board to put a stop to the dirty politics that have been clearly uncovered and to make your decision based on the facts and the law, to deny the application to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of our community.
You must protect our drinking water. This is your legal responsibility. I've read articles previously in the Express Times regarding environmental concerns over contaminated aquifers and local drinking water that has resulted from decisions that were made many years ago in the neighboring township of Washington, where an applicant requested, no doubt in much the same manner as this applicant before you tonight, for the ability to conduct its industrial enterprise in accordance with the then existing laws of this state. The result in granting that application, as I'm sure you know, and relying on the promises of compliance, was the creation of a Superfund site that now contaminates local drinking water and requires continuous monitoring of our local drinking water. I beg you to think carefully about your decision here tonight. We only have one water supply. You will be told tonight by the applicant's team of lawyers, as well as this board's attorney, that the applicant has complied with all the applicable zoning, subdivision, and site plan ordinance regulations and requirements, and therefore this board must approve the application. This statement is not correct, because the application, like any other, shall be granted only if it will be detrimental to our health, if it will not be detrimental, to our health, safety, and general welfare. As such, you are legally required to deny this application. Each member of this planning board has taken an oath of office and did solemnly swear, among other things, to faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office to the best of your abilities. These are not mere words to be mouthed at the beginning of each year when you take your oath, but to serve as your guideposts in your efforts to discharge your legal and fiduciary responsibilities to the citizens you serve. At the risk of stating the obvious, this board serves its citizenry, and you are compelled to address the legitimate and uncontroverted concerns that have been placed before you. As such, I implore this board to faithfully, impartially, and justly deliberate, and pursuant to the law, deny the application because it is detrimental to the health, safety, and general welfare of this community. Thank you.
Good evening to the planning board.
Raise your right hand, please.
My name is Robert Hopkins. I live on 12 Ramseyburg Road, Columbia, New Jersey.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
For 21 years, I've been a union carpenter in Warren County. I always took great pride in that. I lived in Warren County my whole life, and what I see is, in years past, industry has left our town, our state, and gone either to Pennsylvania or down to Mexico and different parts of the world. Nobody ever wants to believe that industry is what built this country and drives it. You people have a chance to bring industry back to this town, whether it be on a small scale or a bigger scale. Whether it creates 2 jobs or 200 jobs, that doesn't matter anymore. This country needs jobs, it needs viable employment. It needs a place where somebody can go and have a decent wage, a decent living, and decent health care. We are too often in this world anymore to create all this big box store development that doesn't create that. You have something here that people in this county and local neighboring communities have a place to go and maybe have a decent job. In years past, ever since the 2008 crash, the biggest employer in this whole area has been the unemployment office down on South Main Street. I mean, we need the jobs. I'm a union carpenter. I coordinate our apprenticeship program. We would like to have an opportunity to build something like this and rebuild our industry here. I know there's a lot of concerns with the DEP regulations and what have you. In what I do every day, I build our highways, I build our bridges, I build our sewage treatment plants. The regulatories on those things, on those projects are unbelievable. And everybody's worried about runoff and all the other things. I understand people's concerns. I'm a resident of Knowlton Township. I live across from probably the dirtiest power plant going. It was a big thing to do with all the dirty air coming across the river from Pennsylvania. Now they're closing it after lots of years of people petitioning against that. In this state, There are so many regulatory conditions against people in this type of industry and what have you. The regulations are so stringent. There's no way you can get away with doing some of the things that people are putting out on the internet and everything else.
Makes no sense.
So, please, I think I have a right to speak.
Let the man speak. No one has interrupted you, don't interrupt him.
All I'm saying is, in today's world, this country needs to take a little pride in itself. An industry built this country. Let's help industry get back to building this country. Not everybody has an opportunity to go to college and what have you. Not everybody was given that opportunity. There's people who come out of college today that don't even have jobs. There's people who will never even see a college, but there's people who want to come out and work in the trades and work with their hands and work in the industry, and a place like this will provide it for them. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do. And my name is Annie Casella, Casella, 2 Byron Drive, Lopatcong, New Jersey. So, this factory is not allowed to infringe on one's enjoyment of property. Yet, if it's built, then it infringes on everyone's enjoyment of property who opposes it, which isn't good. And also, people previous to me have stated that experts tell the truth, and I've been to previous meetings, and I believe they tell the truth to their knowledge. They say it's state-of-the-art and that nothing will go wrong, but experts in the past have also stated that things won't go wrong, like the Titanic. And we are taking such a risk like that. We don't know how it's going to turn out until it's built, but when it's built, it'll already be too late. And in half a mile away from the school, I don't think it's a great gamble to take. Like, if it catches fire, pollutants will be let into the air, and it could stay there for months or years, and bad things will happen to the environment, and everything will get affected. So it's not right to risk such a disaster happening near a school and near so many houses and the environment. Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Just state your name and your address, please.
My name is Bob Carikes, K-E-R-U-K-E-S. I live at 110 First Avenue, Ralphie, New Jersey. I lived here all my life. My parents have lived here all their lives. And my grandparents have lived here all their lives. I wrote something down and I wish I would like to read to you. It's called Not in My Backyard. It's morning. We awake. The first thing we do, we use our bathrooms that take our showers and use the toilet, which we conveniently push a handle to send our waste to a sewage disposal pit, but not in my backyard. Then once a week, the garbage man comes and collects our smelly garbage that goes to a landfill, but don't put that in my backyard. Now that it's spring, we all want that lush green grass. The people that moved in this area have all these homes built. They want that nice green grass. They put fertilizer on it, pesticides, put chemicals on it, on our plants and flowers to kill insects. The next time it rains, guess where all that poison goes? In your groundwater. Thank you.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Kathy Battalino, Battagilino, 1276 Fairview Circle, Lopatcong. I am born and raised in Bergen County, and I have lived in Lopatcong for 8 years. We moved here when my daughter was 3 because we wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle of Bergen County. I never felt the need to move, that is, until now. I am still scratching my head as to why this town would even entertain an asphalt plant that is in such close proximity to the town's elementary school and many residential neighborhoods. I have sat through every meeting from beginning to end, and I am appalled by the actions, but more importantly, the inactions of our town's leaders. As a mother, it is my duty to protect and fight for my family. I am now consoling an 11-year-old kid that loved her town, her school, and her friends, because I have made it very clear that we will be moving once this monster comes to town. She wanted to grow up in Lopatcong, but I am not willing to take the risk from the many issues that can and will arise from living next door to this type of business. I've already told her that I don't want to get an unnecessary phone call from her in 20 years telling me that she's been diagnosed with cancer, a diagnosis that could have very well been avoided. I lost my mother to this, and I fight like hell for my kid. The opposition to this plant is not about anti-business. It's about the health and our safety. It is an emotional issue, and I personally know 5 families who are preparing their homes to sell and will be moving away from Lopatcong. These numbers will increase, and the backlash will continue to grow if you put this monster in our backyards. So I respectfully ask you to please vote no.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address, please.
Rebecca Nixon, 89 Hiddingstone Way, Lopatcong, New Jersey.
Thank you.
The majority of Lopatcong has informed you that they do not want this asphalt plant to be built on 189 Stonehenge. So now the question is, as a planning board, are you going to represent the common good of the majority of Lopatcong, or are you going to vote yes on this plant to benefit a very little population compared to those who will benefit, compared to those who will suffer from it? How can you look at me and all the other children here tonight and think that I'm going to put something in your town that could potentially harm you? Parents of kids who have survived cancer or have current disabilities have come to you and asked, will this harm my children? Can you, and are you prepared to look those parents in the eye and say, I can promise you, this plant will not affect your children? Are you going to take on that responsibility? All the applicants' witnesses have said that this plant will not harm us, that it won't cause any effects that could be harmful to our health. But I don't believe that, as does a lot of people here tonight. Because if this plant wasn't going to harm us, why would you have kept it a secret for so long until now?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
State your name and address, please.
My name is Chris Aquila, 1325 Eagles Nest Court, Lopatcong. You know, I originally was going to come up here, Mr. Chairman, board members, talk about ospreys, wildlife, and such, and everything was changed last week on one cross-examination that just struck home for me. At one point, Mr. Franks, the air quality expert, was asked what would be a comparable state-of-the-art facility that we might be able to look at that would be what we're getting here. And when he said this Ebola facility was a comparable state-of-the-art facility, he was pretty straightforward about it. In Bridgewater, I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it so much that I actually went up and asked myself the next time. And he stated it clearly to me, very assuredly. And that's when I realized that everything I was here about birds and stuff, paled in comparison to what I had experienced. By complete chance and coincidence, I've been running a research project, a wildlife research project, 1,350 feet due west of that state-of-the-art facility that he said was comparably equipped, state-of-the-art, and he told me that was the one to use as a comparison. I've been standing there for 22 years doing a research project, a long-term research project on migrating wildlife. And I'm kind of telling this from my heart, not as a scientist, which I am. I sort of got I don't know, got kind of like a lump in my throat when he said that, because the smell comes off there at 1,300 feet, a little more than a quarter mile. It's pretty intense, pretty intense. And to be clear about that, so everyone is sure, I'm 45 years old. And one capacity or another, 45 years. Amazingly, ironically, I've either lived next to an asphalt plant or I've worked next to an asphalt plant. I grew up in Seawarren, next to Perth Amboy. In the Seawarren facility, Chevron ran a facility there in the 60s and 70s. It was one of the largest capacity asphalt plants on the Atlantic coast. And I was not only familiar with it because of the smell of living here, but my dad was actually one of the business managers for the facility. And I remember vividly being there. And this isn't about me being against asphalt. You know, I'm just kind of stating where my life has gone and where it's going. And amazingly enough, at about 23 years of age, I found myself at what was considered a great location doing research. Ironically, 1,350 feet from an asphalt plant. Go figure. To be sure, to be clear, just so you guys know, I have nothing against the bowl. Some of the employees actually come over to my research site and hang out. This is not about anything like that. This is just stating the fact. At 1,350 feet, the smell, I'm due west of the facility at 1,350 feet. Due west when the wind blows over the facility. And again, this isn't about what emissions, about odor. The smell is impacted my research enough that about 10 years ago, I decided, yeah, you know what, even though it's not part of the wildlife research, about 2002, I decided I better just put some numbers together, because what was happening was, as the wind was getting stronger, I'd lose people. Like, they wouldn't want to come anymore. So I was like, wow, that's it's a variable affecting my research. So I put some numbers together, and, you know, never really thought it would really mean anything until today. And, you know, to be sure, you know, again, as I've stated, this is not something against, it's just stating facts. And, you know, generally speaking, what I found in the research over the last 10 years of being here, 0 to 9 miles an hour or so, there's no discernible odor. I'm being honest. Don't smell anything. Don't smell anything. 10 to 15 miles an hour, odor. About 50% of the people, sample for generally about 6 people helping me, members of the public, random sampling of members of the public and people helping me. About 50% of the people impacted at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. 16 to 20 miles an hour, definitive asphalt odor, about 80% of the people, visitors, smell it. 21 to 25 miles an hour, definitive. At that point, that's kind of the breaking point, was about 20 to 25 miles an hour is 100% everybody smells it. It's very definitive, very strong. And 26 to 30 was about 10% of the people up there would leave, basically leave. Not that they were being overcome or anything, but they were just uncomfortable, it was sort of unpleasant. In fact, they always used to bust me and joke me, how do you stand that, you know? And I was like, well, I'm just dedicated to my research. And I said I was probably used to it from 45 years exposure. Not proud of that. Above 30 miles an hour, approximately 10 to 20% of participants for my research, what I've found in the last 10 years, actually won't participate. We've all become, because of the asphalt facility, we've all become layman weathermen. So what happens is they'll predict the weather ahead of time, they'll look at the weather and see that, wow, there's really strong winds for that day in the west. I'm not going to make it up. About 10 to 20% of people, that will happen when it reaches that particular wind speed. And again, United States, one of the things I want to make very clear, really do, because I'm here to present some facts. I'm not here to say one thing or another. This is the Bowl facility. I have nothing against them. Like I said, I've known the people there. People come up, I've known them for years. They know me, I know them. And the thing that I always find interesting about it is that they've got the perfectly placed plant. Whoever put that in, put that plant there was a genius. It's perfect. The plant is surrounded by 800 acres of undeveloped parkland. There's no one there to smell it, except me and my research people and a few mountain bikers. And I'm not going to complain. I mean, I'm doing research here. I'm there by choice to do that research. It smells bad. It's the nature of the beast. It's an asphalt plant. It's the way it smells. I take that as part of the risk of when I'm there. And I guess what I'm saying is that the placement of that, it's a very good placement. Really no one affected. But the placement here, I'm a little more concerned. Especially, again, I am a scientist. My specialty is natural resource management. In particular, my focus is wildlife. But I understand scientific method, as people who are trained in sciences are. And I think that's my concern, is the placement of this place. More or less, there will be odor. Based on this state-of-the-art facility, there will be odor. It's just physically impossible. The odor can't stay on site. There will be exposure. It's got to come out. It's a matter of the placement of this plant. I'm concerned about where that odor is going to be. I'm at 1,350 feet, quarter mile, so maybe an estimated radius, 1,350 feet. We smell it when it goes 30 miles an hour. We can smell it at 1,500 feet. In fact, even close to 16. But I'll be conservative. I'll say 1,500 feet. So I just want to please keep that in mind. This is from 22 years of ironically standing next to an asphalt plant, doing research. And, it's science mixed with a little bit of just being human about this and just letting you know. And I hope you will consider that in your decision. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break so the court reporter can take a break and change.